Here's the exact 4-hour routine that I've used to build my own online fitness business and that I still use today in my company now to be able to not just maintain, but grow our company constantly. And this takes 4 hours a day. Like, if you are working more than 4 hours a day, either you just freaking love to work or you're just doing busy work. And this is at least coming from my experience. Now, just to give you some context, by the way, I love creating at the beach. I'm currently in the Dominican Republic, in Punta Cana to be exact. And I'm here for my buddy JR's mastermind event. I am speaking today, and I'm here out coaching some amazing coaches and entrepreneurs. And it's awesome. And I always gain and receive so much insight from these events. Even when my intention is to come and speak and coach and teach, I always get so much insight. I mean, when you put a room together of amazing entrepreneurs, of amazing humans, like magic happens. And one of the insights that I've had, and I should say I've been reminded of, that I want to share with you today, is that it doesn't take a whole lot to grow our business. I'm not saying that it's easy and like, you know, these days, like people can just chat GPT their way and fake their way through it, but you're going to get like, it's not going to last. That's if you're just being lazy, you know what I mean? And you're trying to chat GPT your way to building a business. I don't think that's going to work. Not long-term at least. And even more context, in case if you're new to my world, I'm not going to give you my whole story here. There's other videos on my channel that I walk through that. But just so you know who you're learning from, I have built my own brick and mortar gym in a very saturated market in South Florida. I literally had like $190 something in my bank account when I started. And everybody was like, you're going to fail, dude. There's no way. You need more money. You need to invest in equipment. And I had nothing when I first started. And we ended up proving people wrong, proving the haters wrong, man. And we freaking grew this thing to a base of 300 members at our prime. And we ended up serving thousands of people in the 8 years that I was running it. And I ended up using the same principles to build an online fitness business to a base of 100 clients at our prime. And I've used the same principles to be able to grow my business and marketing consulting company that I'm currently running, the School of Impact, to we've served now between coaching and consulting over 530 clients. And it's been an amazing ride. And all that to say, like, I've been caught in the whole, I don't want to call it a scheme, but the whole mentality is probably a better way to say it, of like hustle culture. Of like, you just gotta grind till your eyeballs are bleeding, my friend. Like, you just, like all that crap, man. And I think to a certain degree, like that could be helpful for somebody that is maybe lazy or has false expectations. It's like, yeah, you gotta get out there and freaking do some work, man. You gotta get out there and put yourself out there and do the work. But when you get caught into this, like this cycle of, I've gotta work 13 hours a day and I've gotta like blah, 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 you end up putting out less production. Like, for example, I got caught in like, when I was growing my gym, I was literally working, and I don't know if if you've ever owned a gym or you've been a personal trainer, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But like, if you've ever like worked from like 5 to like if you've ever worked long days, you know, I was working 5 a.m. to about 8 p.m. in my gym. I had some breaks and stuff here and there. But I got so caught into like, I was training, then I had to go market, then I had to sell, I had to then go back and coach and then market and then sell. And it was just a grind. And I got caught into that. And I felt like if I wasn't working, I wasn't making money. I don't know. Can you relate to that? Like, and it was like a very terrible cycle that I was in. And I took that same mentality to my online fitness business. And I was literally at the beginning, I was working freaking, I would wake up at 5 a.m. and I would start working. And it was bad. And I felt like if I wasn't working, I wasn't making money. And that was not true. And so what I ended up adopting, and this came from I don't even know where it came from, to be honest. I used to read so many books on like productivity and stuff. I don't really do that now, but there was basically, it wasn't from Tim Ferriss. I know he has the 4-hour work week or something, but I think the concepts were similar. And the 4-hour workday comes down to like, how are you gonna bucket your time so that you're giving the most output? And so in a coaching business, to grow a coaching company, right, you have to be able to create. And so you have to create some type of content for either your marketing or for clients. And so I realized that was a major bucket that I had to put in my day. And so 1 hour a day, I always would spend creating. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of a caveat. I'll play devil's advocate to what I'm about to say. But for now, 1 hour a day, always focus on creation. Maybe one day you're creating posts for Facebook or Instagram. Maybe another day you're recording videos. Maybe another day you're creating content for clients, right? The second block I realized was that I needed to coach. I had to coach people, right? That's kind of what we're doing. We're coaches. And so I put an hour a day where I was gonna check in with clients, I was gonna answer questions, I was gonna reach out to people, I was just gonna connect, coach, and provide value to my people. The third bucket I realized I needed was to connect. If I wanted to continue to get coaching clients, I needed to not just create, I needed to also connect, right? And so for me, that could have meant reaching out and booking podcast interviews, reaching out to my leads in the DMs, maybe going to my hot or warm list and hitting up leads in the DMs. It could have meant going to a networking event, but I made sure, and for an easy one, I just made sure that I connected with 10 people a day minimum in my DMs. Like at the very least, 10 people a day in my DMs, I wanted to have a meaningful conversation with that looked like they potentially could be my ideal client. That was kind of my rule of thumb. And then the last block I realized I needed was to cultivate. I needed to continue to grow. And I separated this from create because create could be more of like you're creating, like I'm creating this video. Where cultivate could be more of like I'm working on building an onboarding system or a project, something that's gonna make me money long in the future, right? Something that's gonna help scale the business, or it's gonna help me better deliver or show up without having to burn myself out, right? And so I gave an hour a day to each of those blocks. And some days might be more hours, right? Some days might be less. And then how I've adapted that even now to my business is I don't always do 1 hour a day today, but some days get more time. So for example, for me, Mondays and Wednesdays, I will typically create. So I'll spend sometimes 3 to 4 hours that day just creating stuff. Right? On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm coaching. I have one-to-one coaching clients with my co-creation, my one-to-one co-creation clients. And then I have my office hours type group coaching with my in-demand inner circle clients. And so that whole day, basically, I'm spending about 4 hours coaching people. And there's very little time for creation or very little time for connecting. And then on Friday, I leave it open. I can create, I can connect. And I'll kind of find that blend of like squeezing in hours. So I might do, and I'm not like hard set on like I'm only working 4 hours. Some days I'll work 2 to 4 hours a day. Some days I work 8 hours that day. It really depends on what's going on, right? Like I recently got done creating a couple new GPTs for my clients. Like really, I'm so proud of these things. They're really, really good GPTs on, one's called the Content Writing Ninja. One's called the Hand Raiser HQ to help come up with really powerful call to action posts. I recently put together a brand new roadmap for my clients, step-by-step instruction manual to building a 6 or even 7-figure coaching business in record time. Like I put a lot of work into it. And so I was so passionate. It was like I was building my own. It's like I get so caught up in building stuff. And so you might, I don't know if you relate, if you find there's a passion and you get into it, you might work longer hours then. But in general, start to think through, like, are you actually giving time to these different blocks throughout the week or no? And so what I would recommend is you just try this out, especially right now. If you're spending a lot of time doing things like busy work, like you're trying to build landing pages or websites, or you're spending time in Canva too much, or you're spending too much time scrolling social media, which by the way, a little hack here. Most people just pick up their phone, myself, and definitely I'm very susceptible to this, is cheap dopamine, right? You start getting anxious, you start feeling overwhelmed. So you freaking pick up your phone and you start justifying it. You're scrolling Facebook or Instagram being like, well, I'm just checking on my engagement. And it's like, no, you're not. You're just freaking getting cheap dopamine, man. Stop. Don't lie to yourself. And so I'm very susceptible to that too. And so I literally delete the apps off my phone. I only download them when I need them. I have a timer set for 5 minutes. And after the 5 minutes, which is enough time for me to upload a story, I'm done. My wife has the password. She's been instructed to never give me the password. And so I can't even get on social media unless I'm on my desktop. I can't even use it from my phone. That's been a game-changing hack for me. Feel free to try it out. And so with all that being said, what I would recommend is that if you are spending a lot of time doing busy work, if you're inconsistent doing with the things that are going to actually make you money in your business, start with an hour a day in creation, an hour a day in connection, an hour a day in coaching, an hour a day in cultivating. And then find that balance. Like if you're like me, I like to have full days where I theme things, where I might do more creation, a little bit of connecting, a little bit of coaching. I might have days where I'm doing more coaching, a little bit of connecting, maybe a tinge of creation, right? And then I might have days where I'm doing all cultivating. I'm just working on projects with a little bit of the others. You got to find that balance, find that blend for you. But man, if you're caught in the grind of you're just stressed out, you're burning yourself out, you're overwhelmed, it's probably because you're trying to take on too much versus looking at what actually matters to grow a coaching business and putting all of your focus, putting all of your time into that, right? Even if you start out with 30 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day in the stuff that matters and starting to remove the things that don't. Because you could delegate things to a VA. There's amazing virtual assistants out there that you could delegate things to, right? You can offload the things that aren't in these buckets that are eating up your time so that you could give more of your zone of genius. You can give more of your full focus and energy and attention to the things that actually matter. And so, all that to say, I have down below this video, you should see a clickable Notion doc that breaks down my full 4-hour workday kind of schedule with examples of how I actually do it. If you want that, it's a free download, no opt-in or anything like that. It's my personal copy, so you could just take it, just make a copy of it. And if you're listening to this elsewhere, not on YouTube, then just shoot me a DM on Facebook or Instagram and just say 4-hour workday cheat sheet, and I'll go ahead and give it to you. With that said, my friend, I hope you have an amazing day. I'm gonna go get ready to go speak. And if you have any questions for me at all about this, I am happy to help. Just shoot me a message and leave a comment. So with that said, have an amazing day. Remember, your message matters now more than it ever has before. Don't be afraid to speak it. Be seen, be heard, and be impactful.